Okay. And we'll just give everyone a little bit more time. Since no one is on, but people will see this anyways. Yay. Alright. Okay, let's start then. George X Reader. YN was a shy streamer. She only just reviewed her voice for her 15 million video. She often streamed Minecraft videos without people, just on her own. As a 22-year Minecraft streamer, she was questioning what she was doing, but she loved it, so she kept streaming. She had one good friend who was also a Minecraft streamer. His name is George. George and YN have been friends for a long time. Ever since YN started streaming, they started around the same time and chose to support each other, though, through all the choices they made. YN, George whined, "Yeah, I want to do something." "Well, do you want to play Minecraft?" you asked, trying to think of something to do. Not really," he mumbled out. "Oh, okay. Do you want to come over?" you asked. Since you only live 5 minutes away, he often came over or you came to his house. "Yes," he said excitedly. You grinned. "Alright, see you soon." Time skip. You heard a ring at your door and rushed down the stairs to answer. You unlocked the door and threw it open. Due to paperwork and everyday business, you and George hadn't seen each other for at least 2 weeks. You invited George in and sat down next to each other on your couch. You eventually decided on a movie to watch, and you settled in next to George with a bowl of popcorn on your lap and your cat on his lap. After a while, your eyes started to drop, and you found yourself resting your head on George's shoulder. George smiled at himself. George smiled to himself and looked down at your sleepy form. Heat rushed to his cheeks as he realized you were basically laying on top of him. His feelings towards you only grew in that second. Back anymore as he placed his finger under your chin, raising your head at him. He looked into your eyes and pressed his lips against yours for a brief second. You were shocked and stayed frozen in place with a million thoughts running through your head. He backed away, afraid he did something wrong. He lunged at him and pressed her lips on his again. He wrapped his arms around her and brought her into his lap. As they pulled away, huge smiles grew on their faces. You buried your face in his neck and hugged him. George smiled silently and ran his fingers through her hair until she fell asleep. The next morning, George was on a call with his friends, Clay and Nick, and told them about what had happened. They both were happy for him and kept teasing him till he had to go. As he was walking out of your house, he swiftly turned around and kissed your cheek before running out the door. And that is end of the first chapter. Next, for the second one, Dream X Reader. YN was woken up by the screams and shrieks of something she couldn't quite place. As she was still half asleep, she glanced over at the clock. 2:35 a.m. She looked to her left and noticed Clay was next to her. She had fallen asleep when he was still. She picked Patches up, cradling the small cat to her chest, and wandered down the hall to Clay's recording room. The floor was cold under her feet. The whole house was chilly, but she grabbed a blanket and wrapped it around her and Patches before she left the bedroom. She came to a stop in front of the door, debating whether or not to open it. She didn't want to disturb him if he was recording, but she and Patches were lonely and cold in the bed. She could hear the screams of her boyfriend playing with his friends from outside the door. She eventually got the courage to knock on the door lightly, not expecting Clay to hear it over the very manly screeches of Georgia and the laughter of Nick. But he did hear it. "Come in," Clay called out, quickly muting himself. Wyan shuffled into the room, holding Patches close. Clay turned around in the seat. "Hey, baby, did I wake you up?" he questioned, as he stood up, walking over to her. Wyan nodded slightly as he brought her into a hug. Wyan quickly bent down to put Patches on the floor as she meowed. Being squished by the hug, Wyan stood back up to be enveloped in the hug again. "It's okay, I know you have to work. She said, pulling away from the hug to look into his eyes. I just got cold and Patches and I were lonely." Clay chuckled at that and went to sit back down. Once he sat down, he held his arms open. Wyan grinned, climbing into his lap. She buried her face in his cheek, breathing in deeply. Clay continued to play his game with his friends, being quieter as he assumed she was sleeping. After he finished recording, he picked Wyan up and brought her to the bedroom, laying her on the bed, then flipping down beside her. Wyan stared a bit and hugged him tight. Patches jumped up onto the bed and curled up next to Clay, with her little green sweater on. He smiled and closed his eyes to sleep. That was the end of chapter 2. Time for chapter 3. This one is Sapnap X Reader. Third person POV. Nick and Wyan had always been friends since kindergarten. Wyan always felt the pronouns they were previously given did not fit them. Wyan tried both he/him and she/her pronouns, but they didn't feel right. Eventually, they/them pronouns, and it felt like something clicked. It just felt so right. Wyan had been going off they/them pronouns for about 2 weeks now. They hadn't told anyone yet. Today was the day they decided they were gonna tell their best friend Nick. Wyan had invited him the other day before telling him that they had something to say. Nick walked over to Wyan's house, which was right down the street. Since he got there, he rang the doorbell. Wine opened the door with a bright smile on her face. Hey, Nick. Hey, 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 nickname. How are you? He asked. I'm good, Wine said, playing with the hem of their jacket sleeve. They were nervous and Nick could tell. Okay, so tell me the news, he said, wrapping an arm around their shoulder to try to make them less nervous. Wine sucked. Really? Oh, nickname, that's great. I'm so happy for you, he said as he embraced them in a hug. Wyan let out a smile and then a laugh. I was so worried you wouldn't support me. Trying to find I was so worried you wouldn't support me. I have been trying to find the right moment for the past 2 weeks, but it seems you're always busy. Nickname, whenever you need to talk to me, I'll be there, no matter what I'm doing, okay? Wyan nodded and stared it into his eyes. Well, Wyan, since you said something very big, gonna, I'm gonna come clean. Wyan last name since since the fifth grade, I've I have been in love with you. Every every little thing you do, every smile, they all make me fall in love with you more. Now I'm not asking for my love to be returned. I just thought I'd tell you, he said, face flushing red. Nick, it's okay if you don't like me back. I'm sure there's another guy or girl you want or something else. That's better for you and I totally understand it. And Nick, I like you too, Wine said, making him rambling come to an end. He looked at them surprised. You do? Wine nodded. Nick grinned and pressed a light kiss to their cheek. Wine giggled and hugged their best friend. Well, maybe he was more now. Whatever they were, Wine was happy with it. I love you, Nick whispered in their ear. Their face their face turned a deep shade of red, but they didn't hesitate to say it back. I love you too, Sappy Nappy. That's the end of chapter 3. So I hope you guys like all three of these chapters. But there are like I believe like 51 chapters. So it's like 51 out of 3. But that's okay. I'm gonna read the whole entire chapter if you guys would like. But um if you guys would like to give a request of what other one shot book I should also read, then you can tell me and I can read it either next stream or this stream. Anyways, let's get on to the 4th chapter. Dream X Reader. You and Clay have always been together. First as classmates in 3rd grade, YN was sitting at his desk drawing a picture when a boy came up to him. Hey, can I sit here? The boy asked. YN looked at him. He had dirty blonde hair, green eyes, and light freckles were sprinkled across his cheeks. YN grinned and nodded. The boy sat down next to him and stuck his hand out. Hi, I'm Clay. I just moved here from Florida. My family moved here because my mom has work here. Anyway, what's your name? The boy asked with a large grin on his face. My name is YN. I've lived here all my life, YN said, smiling. Clay smiled too, and they turned back toward the front of the class, focusing on their teacher. Second as friends, 4th grade. Clay, YN called out as Clay fell from the play structure. YN rushed over and hugged Clay. Clay sniffed a little and tried to stand up. When he put weight on his ankle, he screeched in pain. YN widened his eyes and ran to get the teacher. Clay was carried to the nurse's office and was sent home. Later that night, YN's mom and dad got a call from a new number. YN's dad answered the phone. Hi, yeah, oh no, I hope he's okay now. Oh yeah, of course. Yes, hold on. Dad Dad covered the phone and shouted. Wyan heard his Wyan heard his dad call for him, saying a friend was calling. He didn't know who it could be. He didn't have any friends at school. He sat alone at lunch and didn't talk to anyone during class. Occasionally, Clay would hang out with them, but Clay had a pretty solid group of friends, consisting of a boy named George and another boy named Nick. Wyan rushed down the stairs, eager to know who it was, claiming to be a friend of his. As Wyan brought the phone to his ear and said hello, he heard a familiar voice. Hi, Wyan. Just thought I'd let you know that I sprained my ankle pretty badly today. Thanks for helping me, Clay said through the phone. Wyan smiled and went over to sit on the couch and talk with his new found friend over the phone. They're his best friends in 7th grade. Clay walked up to Wyan on the first day of 7th grade. Hey, Wyan, he said, walking over. The boy, walking over to the boy. Wyan glanced up and saw his friend waving at him. He smiled and started talking with Clay. Hey, Clay, how was your summer? How was your summer? It was good. It could have been better if you went with my family on that trip, but it was fun nonetheless, Clay said, softly elbowing Wyan with a playful smirk on his face. Oh, shut up, Clay. Just because I was visiting family and not with you doesn't mean you can tease me. Wyan huffed. Clay chuckles. I'm just kidding. Anyway, what's your schedule? Wyan showed Clay his schedule, and Clay grinned. No way, we have the same classes. Wait, who is your homeroom teacher? Clay asked. Wyan looked back down at his schedule and scanned the sheet before his name fell on his on his homeroom teacher's name. He turned the paper to Clay and watched as Clay's eyes widened. Wait, no way, we both have Miss Millie. My sister says she's the nicest one. Apparently she brings in cookies on the first day every year for a student. Clay rambled. Wyan chuckled. Let's go find her room before we're late. Wyan added while dragging Clay by the arm to class when they stepped in. A kind-looking woman glanced up from her desk. Ah, my last two students. I see you're a bit late, but I'll let it slide for today. Now, what are your names? She asked. Well, I'm Clay, and this is my best friend, Wyan. Clay said, turning to the boy to his side. Wyan smiled and greeted her. Very good. Well, everyone, please take a seat. Take a seat. And because it's the first day, I brought cookies. And now, as boyfriends in college, Clay whined to his boyfriend, who shared an apartment together. Yeah. Do you have to go? Wyan said, giving Clay puppy dog eyes. Clay smiled softly and sat next to Wyan on their couch. He pulled the other boy into his lap. Yes, I promised George and Nick I would be at VidCon this year. I'm really doing a face reveal to my fans, he said as he hugged Wyan to his chest. Wyan looked into his eyes. I'm going to miss you, he said softly. Clay smiled lightly. I'm gonna miss you too. Time skip. As Clay was heading out the door, Wyan flung him a soft kiss on the lips. I love you, Clay. I love you too, Wyan. I'll be back in 2 weeks, he said. Wyan nodded and watched Clay walk down the hall and get into the elevator. Time skip. It's been 2 weeks since Clay left. Over the past week, Clay has been super busy filming with Nick and George. He was coming back tomorrow. Tomorrow is when he comes back. When everything goes back to normal again. Wyatt had been really sad the past week when Clay couldn't call or even text or for long. The first week was good. The FaceTimed every day and texted every other morning and night. Now with Clay filming for future videos, he barely texted a good morning or a good night. Less lonely. What Wyan didn't know was that Clay was planning to come back a day early. He felt bad about not being able to talk with Wyan much because of his work. As Clay stepped out of the plane, he realized Wyan didn't know he was there, so he would have to call an Uber. Clay hopped in the car and looked at the sky, at the dim sky. The sun had set about 5 minutes ago, but the light was still there. Eventually, he arrived at his apartment and got his luggage. He locked the door to their apartment room and quietly shut it behind him. He left his luggage in the front to himself, but his smile faded when he stepped closer and realized Wyan had tears on his cheeks. His phone was still on next to him, and Clay saw the many pictures of them together. Clay's heart broke as he realized how much his absence affected the love of his life. He sat on the bed and ran his fingers through Wyan's hair. Wyan stirred and slowly fluttered his eyes open. He saw Clay sitting next to him and shot up immediately and flung his arms around Clay. After a while, they pulled apart and stared into each other's eyes. Wyan smiled. I missed you a lot, Dream. I missed you too, nickname. That was end of, I believe, chapter 4. That was end of chapter 5. BadBoyHalo X-Reader. Death. That's what Wyan felt like. Pure death. Wyan was sitting on the couch and slowly slid down to the floor, holding her stomach. Their boyfriend had been at work all day, and she didn't want to bother him about how much pain she was in. They melted into the ground and layer, still trying to forget the pain. They didn't feel like moving to get the heating pad or Advil, so she stayed still. She opened her eyes when she finally heard the click of a lock, meaning her boyfriend was home. Darren walked into the house and didn't see his girlfriend in the living room, so he went to the kitchen but didn't see them there either. He was about to go up the stairs to their bedroom, but he heard a groan of pain from the living room. He quickly walked towards the sound. Why are you? He paused as he saw Wyan laying on the ground in a ball. He leaned down and pulled her into his lap. She whimpered and clutched her stomach. Baby, are you okay? He asked worriedly. No, Wyan said, whining. I'm dying. I feel like my insides are being ripped out. He hugged her tighter. What happened? He asked. She gave him a look similar to Frisk's face. Why do you think I'm dying, bitch? I have fucking cramps and they hurt like hell, she groaned. He gave her a sympathetic look. Aw, come here. Go to bed and I'll bring you a heating pad and Advil, he said. And just between you and I, cramps sound fucking painful, he whispered. Wyan's jaw fell open. She screamed, Who are you? And what have you done? Doorway. Nuh-uh. We are not ignoring what you just said. What the heck, dear? What possessed you? Who made you say that? They rambled on. Bad chuckled and helped her into the bed. Wyan was still frozen in shock, but when her body hit the cold bed sheets, she groaned and clutched her stomach again. You muffin, he said, walking out of the room. He soon returned with a heating pad, Advil, and a glass of water. As the heating pad warmed up, Wyan took the Advil and drank the water, partly to swallow the pill and partially because water helps cramps. Bad reached for the heating pad and gave it to them. As soon as they laid it on their stomach, the pain went away, nodding off to sleep. He smiled at his sleeping girlfriend and kissed the top of her head before getting up to make supper for them when Wyan wakes up. That was the end of chapter 5, and I hope you guys were enjoying chapter 5. Also sorry for all of the miss saying of some words or saying things like over again. Anyways, author note. Okay, here we go. Wyan YN times reader. I mean, no. Tommy times reader. YN and Tommy have been friends since when he started streaming. When he lost his disc, when YN experiment expressed her first breakup, they were there for each other. One day, YN had to move very far away from her best friend. Her parents never told her how long they will live there, but she didn't expect anytime soon. YN hadn't talked to her friend in 4 years. They had been 16 the last time they had spoken or even seen each other. She had gotten a new phone number, but she couldn't access Tommy, so she assumed he got a new one too. After these years, she decided she wanted to start streaming. She liked to work alone, so she didn't really interact with other streamers. It's been about 4 months since she started, but she already had 600K followers on Twitch. After about 5 months of streaming, she hit 1 million. She wanted to do something special for her reveal, so she decided a face and voice reveal and could couldn't hurt. YN got up early in the morning and started her morning routine. After she finished, she walked down the stairs and started on breakfast. She wasn't that hungry, so she just made a piece of toast and drank some orange juice. She brought it up to her office and sat down at her desk. She opened her laptop and logged onto her college classroom lecture. Since it was quarter time, she had to stay at home. After a long 90-minute class, she lay on her bed and practically died. Wyatt checked the time and groaned, slowly sitting up as she sat at her desk again for her next class. After another agonizing 90 minutes, she went downstairs to get lunch. She scrolled through TikTok and Twitter and checked the time, 1:40 p.m. Shit, I'm late, she said under her breath. Her class started 5 minutes ago. She opened her laptop and sat on her bed for her 30-minute class. It was a short class with her favorite teacher, so she just lay on her bed with her camera off. When her short class finished, she had one more 90 minutes class, but she had a 4-minute break, so she quickly ran downstairs. He was, but she knew he was around her age. She looked away and walked back to her room to finish her last class. After her school day was finished, she flopped on her bed. Her professors didn't give her any homework because they thought the students were dealing with too much considering COVID. Ryan was about to close her eyes for a nap but heard her doorbell ring. She groaned but got up to enter the door. As she saw a tall boy. He smiled and spoke. Hi, I'm Tommy. I just moved in next door and I want to see who lived in this marvelous house here. He said, grinning. She smiled back. Nice to meet you. I'm YN. I've lived here for about a year, and thanks. I tried to get a house that looked cute on both smiling face turned into one of confusion. Hey, you look really familiar. Have I seen you before? Tommy asked. Wine guessed a confused look, and then her eyes widened. Wait, did you used to live on a random a random address from like a random address? She asked. His eyebrows shot up. I did. Wait, YN last name? He asked, with his mouth hanging open. Thomas Simpson's, she questioned. Tommy threw his arms around her. She hugged back and buried her head into his neck. After a couple of minutes of being in the same position, they pulled back with smiles on their faces. She invited her on Twitch channel, and he started rambling about how they should stream together sometime, and that maybe he could get her into the Dsmp. Laughed at that, and then proceeded to tell him about her about significant other and told them about how well they treated her and how kind-hearted they were. Tommy was happy to know she had someone that treated her well. Tommy told her all about his friend Toby/Tubbo, or better known as Tubbo. Wyan and Tommy talked for a very long time until Tommy said he had to go back home for dinner, but for streaming days. He explained he didn't stream on Wednesdays, and if it was okay with her, he'd join her stream. She agreed to the idea and decided it might be a good day to do the face and voice reveal to get her fans. No, she wasn't trolling by saying she was with Tommy in it. Hello again, chat. Today is my face and voice reveal, I guess. So I have a special guest, but first I'm going to do my face reveal. Now, special guest, would you mind turning my face cam on? She looked toward at Tommy. He nodded and got out of the view of the camera. She waved at the camera. Hey, chat, she said, grinning. Okay, now if you're ready, I have a guest, she said. She glanced at the chat, spamming, you're so slash good looking. And yes, we want the guest, she smiled. Okay, Tommy, come here, she said, just in front to sit down. Chat starts spamming things like Tommy in it, and Tommy in a pog. Tommy sat down and chat went crazy. He grinned. What's up, chat? He screamed. Wyan winced at his loudness, and probably so did everyone in the neighborhood in the everyone in the neighboring countries. After Wyan decided to play some Minecraft. She gave her laptop to Tommy, and as she started collecting wood, he decided to hit her. She screeched, Tommy, what the hell? She yelled, and he cackled and continued to hit her. In fact, she had gotten enough supplies to last her and Tommy for a while, as he was too busy messing around with the cows, claiming one, the reincarnation of Henry. Wyan and Tommy eventually came to a level pool. She started to build her way out a little further to create a portal, but Tommy had other ideas. He stepped onto the thin path she made and hit her. She screamed and fell into the lava, quickly dying. Tommy started dying of laughter as she started screaming to him. Tommy, you bitch, what the hell did you do that for? I'm actually going to kick your ass into 2024. What the hell, man? I was trying to win the game. What the hell? What possessed you to fucking kill me? She screamed. He just shrugged his shoulders and Wyan leaped onto him, tackling him to the floor. Since the face cam was on, chat was spamming about needing this clipped, and a few were starting to ship them, but were immediately shut down when fans saying Wyan and Tommy didn't like being shipped with people. After Wyan had tortured Tommy enough with tickles, she sat up and looked at the chat. She laughed as she read what they were saying, sending a silent thank you to her fans that respected her wishes. Eventually, they ended the stream and ate food. Tommy said a quick goodbye and went back to his house. Wyan fell asleep that night, glad that she found her best friend again. That was end of, I believe, chapter 5. Well, it's really getting late. Everybody. So I think I'll end the stream here, but I will try to continue it next time. Anyways, bye everyone.